And to be honest, Lily Moms almost didn't happen. I remember a point this summer where I was super ready to throw in the towel. And I remember sitting in Heather Shed's living room, close to tears, and just saying, I don't know how we're going to do this. And her saying, it's okay. God is in control, and this is a season that Lily Moms has needed more than ever. We are desperate for some semblance of community. And I remember leaving her house thinking, okay, we can make this work. God is in control. It is His plan, not my plan. And if He wants Lily Moms to happen, then He will make a way. So fast forward a little bit. We've worked out some kinks, figured out what we think is the best plan that we can have given the circumstances. And we're sitting around thinking, okay, now we need a theme. And last year our theme was plug in, and we just try to talk about what are things that we need to plug into that bring joy and contentment and fulfillment and fill us with light, and what are things we need to unplug from that drag us into darkness. And so playing off of that, Carrie Ann had the great idea of, what about stay connected? And I just thought that was genius. And so the goal this year is for all of our speakers to kind of have that overall theme and idea of what are things we need to stay connected. And some of the topics include, how do we connect in relationships? I think the title for that theme is how to be on the same team when you're not on the same page. Or how do we connect our kids to the everyday rhythms of our family? How do we connect? What is our identity outside of just being a mom? And what does self-care look like? Or how do we connect others to our family? What does hospitality look like with little ones? All these things and many more, just great speakers and great topics. And I'm looking forward to hearing from their wisdom. So what I wanted to do today is just talk about that general idea of staying connected to a community. Now, if you've had any sort of deep conversation with me or relationship, you know that community is like a hill I'm ready to do battle on. It's like my thing. I really long for everyone to be connected to some sort of community. It's so important. Seriously, I don't know what I would do without the community that has surrounded me in encouraging times, in hard times, in seasons of life that are difficult, and just little things. Like for last week, for example, or week before last, I was done. I'd had it. I was done with lots of different things. And we're sitting in my car, driving to Panera, and I was just holding it in and crying. And I sent Michelle Wilson a Vox like, I'm done. I quit. Help. And just kind of laid out some things that I was struggling with. And she was so gracious and patient to respond and encourage me and just help me process through some of those things. And y'all, seriously, I just don't know where I would be without my community. Now, I could spend the next 30 minutes telling you why you need community, but I think most of us would be willing to agree, like, yes, I do. I agree with you. I believe that community is important. But the question is not, why do I need it? Like, how do I get it? I long for that sense of community, and I really want that. So how? But if you need more convincing about the why part of community, feel free to send me a message. I will buy you a cup of coffee. I'll get tea because I think coffee is disgusting. And we can sit and just talk about our need, why we need community, and why we can't do this alone. So, in typical me fashion, instead of going 800 different directions, I just tried to compile some of my top reasons. So made a top 5 list of why we need community. Or not why. I know why. How we get community. The first one, just show up. Okay, this would work way better if we were in person, but raise your hand if you got less than 5 hours of continual sleep, like in one chunk last night. I actually got more than that. Praise the Lord. My kids are now sleeping through the night. Raise your hand if someone cried this morning before you got out the door. Bonus points if that someone was you. Raise your hand if you were wearing at least one article of clothing that you wore yesterday or that you slept in last night. Raise your hand if you fed your kids some sort of prepackaged breakfast, because the idea of cooking in the morning when you were trying to get out the door is like not gonna happen. You know, I could like have many more I could say. Raise your hand if we're gonna be honest, there are probably at least one thing that did not go perfect today that you would raise your hand and be like, yes. And the thought at one point occurred to you, you know what? I really don't need to go today. It would be so much easier to stay in my pajamas, to, not get the kids in the car and just say, we'll make it another week. It's not happening today. But you know what? That's half the battle, getting out the door. But I encourage you, it's worth it. Get those kids in their seats, throw them a bowl of Cheerios, wear yesterday's clothes. Nobody cares. Get in your car. You can make it. It will be okay. We will get there. And you know what? It's okay if it's hard. It's okay if you show up and everyone's a hot mess and your kids don't have their shoes and you're wearing yesterday's sweatshirt. Nobody cares. It's okay. Show up. So that is number one way how to have community. You got to be there. And again, this is not to say that connecting over like media platforms like Zoom or FaceTime are not valid. If there are legitimate reasons other than you can't find your kid's shoes that you don't make it out the door, that's okay. If there is a reason in this season that you need to stay home to protect yourself or your family, hold that thought. That's okay too. But find a community that you can connect with when you're connecting online and sit down in front of your computer, turn that screen on. Even if there's screaming going on in the background, it's okay. Show up to small groups, show up to your Lily Moms group. That is half the battle. Next is being real and authentic. It'd be really easy if we were sitting in a room together and I asked those questions to be like, no, that wasn't me. My kids were great. We all got out the door perfect. Everyone brushed their teeth. I made some homemade, organic, whatever, perfect, healthy breakfast. I had time to fix my hair, my makeup, put everyone in matching clothes. And you know what? If that's you, that's awesome. Props to you for doing that. If that's not you, that's okay too. Don't pretend that it is. Be real and authentic. When someone asks you a question about how things are going, more than just a, hey, how's it going? Be real and answer them. Tell them the truth. If they ask you in your discussion group questions about what community looks like in your life right now, don't make it up. Don't say what you think everyone wants to hear. Be real and authentic. No one's going to get to know you if you have cookie cutter answers for every question that skirt around the real issues going on in your life. Now, I'm not saying you need to like word vomit every issue that you've ever had on the first time you meet someone, but if you want to develop real and authentic relationships, you got to get real and authentic with people and tell them what's really going on in your life, what you're really struggling with, what you're really excited about, what brings joy to your family. And so that's point like number 2, just be real and authentic. Number 3, care about others. Now I'm going to go ahead and guess in a group of, I think there's like 35 of us registered in Lily Moms, 35 moms, you're probably not going to be best friends with everyone. And that is okay. You do not have to have deep and lasting relationships with 35 other women that you meet. Really, that's not even practical, or, you're not going to be able to do that. But that doesn't mean that we don't care for each other deeply. I will say one of my closest friends, if you like put up the ways that we raise our kids, the ways that we make decisions, we are very opposite. Down to I formula fed all of my kids. I'm pretty sure none of her kids have ever had a bottle of anything. I haven't really sleep trained. She sleep trained all of her kids. We have different methods for discipline, for schooling, all the way down to I love to get up early in the morning and she stays up really late at night. Like, we're very different in lots of ways, but she is one of my closest friends. And a lot of that is because the superficial stuff doesn't matter. We genuinely care for each other and care for each other's kids and families in a way that surpasses all of those things that don't matter. And so I encourage you, that mom in your group that sometimes you just can't handle, love on her, care for her, ask her questions about her life. Take some effort to get to know her, because I guarantee when you move past those superficial things, you will find connections and friendships that you didn't know were possible. For the record, in case the friend is watching this and knows who she is, I don't know that we ever didn't see eye to, or didn't, we started out with a really strong friendship. And so just because someone's different than you and you see like that they do everything differently, that is not a reason to not pursue a friendship with them, because they could turn out to be one of your closest lasting friends. And so I encourage you to genuinely care for the other women in your group, no matter what the situation, the background. I encourage you, just to reach out and care for each other. That will go a long way in forming lasting friendships. The fourth one is ask good questions. If all you ever ask are superficial, hey, how's it going? My husband told me to throw in, what'd you think about the football game, the LSU game? Because I know lots of you are watching that game and genuinely care about how college football goes. But no, really, whatever that topic may be, asking superficial questions or just asking yes or no questions are not going to get to the heart of an issue. I've been reading this book by Jenny Allen. It's called Get Out of Your Head, Stopping Toxic Thoughts. And that's one of the things she talks about is the need for authentic community. And she makes the point of asking the question why. So when someone says something to you or gives an answer, ask them why. And when they give an answer to that, ask them why until you have to dig down and peel back those layers until you really get to the heart of the answer. Now, don't why people to death until where they don't want to tell you anything, because I know you're just going to keep asking until their souls are laid bare in front of you. But I will say push back when people give you an answer. If it seems like there's way more to the story, there probably is. So ask those deep questions. Now, don't get nosy, but come on, use some common sense. You know what I mean? Ask those questions why. Ask how you can help. Ask what's really going on. Ask what caused that. And there are really good questions out there that you could ask. And then the fifth and final one that I have is follow up. If a mom shares with you, a friend shares with you something she's struggling with, and you listen and offer encouragement, and she has things that she wants to work on, ask her how it's going. Follow up with her. Send her a text or give her no one calls anymore, let's be honest. Send her a Vox or a Polo, a Facebook message, a tweet, whatever social media way you want to do it. No, but really, show up at her house with a cup of coffee and ask hey, how is that thing going? Hey, you said you were struggling with this issue with your son. How have you been able to do things differently this week? Or you had this really difficult conversation coming up with your husband. How did that go? How can I encourage you? Follow up when someone shares something with you. And that, seriously, when people have followed up after I've bared my soul, it has meant the world to me to know that they weren't just listening to get through the conversation. They genuinely care about me and my life and how it's going. And so I encourage you, as you share with each other this year, follow up, build those relationships with each other. So all of these are just some basic tips that I have, or basic ideas of why and how community is important. But I would say all of these are applicable to really any season that we're in life, whether it's motherhood or, friendships that we have, other friendships that we have. These can apply whatever part of your life. But even so, if you consider yourself a follower of Christ, then this isn't just some good advice or a good idea. This is what it calls us to in the Bible. One of the greatest commandments is to love your neighbor as yourself. And if you think about how much we love ourselves and the things that we're willing to do for our own happiness or our own comfort, contentment, satisfaction, we are called to love our neighbor to those same standards. And our neighbor isn't just our best friend in our group that we get along with and love to hang out with. Our neighbor is anyone, is all of the moms and Lily moms, is any mom you see that is struggling and needs help, whether she's your best friend or not. We are called to love one another. And so I'd encourage you to love your neighbor, to love those moms in your group, to love the other moms in the Lily group, to those moms that are struggling, even your friends that aren't moms, to love them well. And just one last thought that I had is to make a friend, you have to be a friend. It's really easy to sit back in our house by ourselves and wonder, why don't I have community? Where is everyone when I need them? But in order for people to even know that you need them, you've got to put yourself out there. And we're going to be honest, all of us are messy humans. People's lives are messy. And so you may put yourself out there and you're going to get hurt. And mom might let you down. Someone you thought you could count on may not be as dependable as you thought she was. But you know what? That doesn't mean that we stop trying. Doesn't mean we don't put ourselves out there again. There are going to be relationships that you have that let you down, that fail. And it's hard and it's no fun. but that is not an excuse for us to curl up inside of our house and to quit trying. So I'd encourage you to try. Put yourself out there. Try again when it doesn't work out. Community is that important that it is worth the effort that it takes. And so we want Lily Moms to be a safe place. We want it to be a place where you come to be filled for encouragement and support. And if you need that, then please reach out to us. You have a discussion group leader that cares for you. You have mentor moms. That is literally their purpose in Lily Moms, is to be there for you, to support you, to encourage you, to offer advice, to lend a listening ear. If you need to talk to them outside of just your Wednesday morning, Thursday morning, Tuesday night meeting, send them a message. Grab their arm when you're leaving and say, can we please go get coffee? I guarantee you they're probably willing to come sit on your couch at your house while your little ones run around on the floor and listen to you and talk and hang out with you. If not, there's always Voxer. Seriously, side note, if I talked about Christ as much as I talk about Voxer, YMCA, and grocery delivery, I'd probably be way better at evangelism. Just your side note, fun fact about me. But seriously, I'm praying for each one of you to find a place at Lily Moms this year that breathes life into your soul. That is our goal. That is our prayer for each of you. And I'm excited for this year and to watch that happen.